In the days leading up to the North London derby, the debate over the Premier League's best defensive partnership has ignited once again, but this time, a former Tottenham favourite has thrown petrol on the fire. Former Spurs midfielder Sandro has given his verdict, and it is one that Arsenal fans will not enjoy hearing. Despite the widespread praise for Gabriel Magalhaes and William Saliba, a pairing that has conceded just 5 goals this season and propelled Arsenal to a 4-point lead, at the top, Sandro believes the league's best centre-back duo wears Lilywhite. Speaking exclusively to Football.London, the Brazilian was emphatic in his praise of Christian Romero and Mickey van de Ven, insisting Tottenham's pairing stands above the rest. I think so. I believe it is the best defensive partnership in the Premier League, Sandro said. Van de Ven's quality, his speed, he's amazing. Yes, he made a mistake against Chelsea, but who doesn't? When you balance it with everything else he does, he's unbelievable. But it was when discussing Christian Romero that Sandro's admiration poured out. The leadership he has, unbelievable. The way he talks to referees, to the midfielders, I love Romero. Proper leader. And he's calmer now. He's reading the game better. He still goes for everything, but he's controlling it. Sandro's view stands in stark contrast to Arsenal legend Martin Keown, who has repeatedly claimed Gabriel and Saliba are the best partnership in Europe Rio. Ferdinand agrees, calling them the perfect mix, perfect blend. But on November 23rd, all the talking stops. Arsenal versus Tottenham. Saliba and Gabriel versus Romero and Van de Ven. 90 minutes to prove who really deserves the crown. While North London debates its defensive royalty, another story is unfolding, this one centred on a rising star overseas, a goalkeeper whose next move could reshape the Premier League's future. Austria's 23-year-old sensation, Manuel Polster, last season's best goalkeeper in the Austrian Bundesliga, has become one of Europe's hottest young talents. Calm with the ball, elite shot-stopping instincts, and a reading of the game modelled on his idols, Jan Oblak and Manuel Neuer Polster has rapidly emerged as a top-level target. And 2 Premier League clubs known for their data-driven strategy are already circling Brentford. Masters of statistical recruitment have identified Polster as a perfect long-term fit. Not only are they considering a move next summer, but they are even prepared to sign him and immediately loan him back to Wolfsberger AC, giving the young keeper continuity as he pushes to become Austria's #1 ahead of the World Cup. But Brighton, another analytics powerhouse, are monitoring Polster closely as well. Both clubs believe his ceiling is enormous and recent history backs them up. Brentford, after all, were the club that took David Raya from Blackburn, developed him into one of the league's most complete goalkeepers, and watched him earn a move to Arsenal. Their ability to spot elite keepers early is proven. And what makes Brentford's interest even more impressive is how well they've coped. Despite their turbulent summer, Thomas Frank departed, Brian Mbeumo and Johan Wissa moved on, and many predicted a collapse. Instead, new manager Keith Andrews has kept Brentford competitive, smart and convincing. In the absences of their attacking stars, Igor Thiago has stepped up in extraordinary fashion, scoring 8 times already, second only to Erling Haaland in the Premier League goal charts. Polster's rise, Brentford's evolution, Brighton's chase it all sets up a fascinating battle off the pitch that could shape next season's goalkeeping landscape in England. Tottenham Hotspur's season under Thomas Frank has felt like a constant test of resilience, a campaign shaped as much by injuries as by results. As the Premier League pauses for the international break, Spurs sit 5th, a respectable position on paper, but one that tells only a fraction of the real story. Beneath the league table lies a team stretched thin, a manager forced into weekly improvisation, and a squad still searching for its true identity amid a wave of early season setbacks. The defining theme of Tottenham's opening months has been the absence of key players. James Maddison, Dejan Kulusevski, and Radu Dragusin have not played a single minute this season. Dominic Solanke, Yves Bissouma, and Archie Gray have each missed long periods. Even players returning from setbacks like Destiny Udogie have seen their rhythm interrupted. Every week, Frank has been forced to construct a new version of the same team, yet to truly showcase what his full-strength Spurs might look like. Among the most frustrating losses has been Dominic Solanke. Signed for £65 million after a 16-goal Premier League season with Bournemouth, Solanke was expected to become the focal point of Frank's attack a striker perfectly suited to the Danes' system of vertical runs, aggressive pressing, and smart link-up play. But an ankle problem derailed his entire pre-season. Surgery followed, recovery stalled, and in the end, Solanke has managed just 49 minutes of football across the first 3 months. Without him, Spurs have relied heavily on Richarlison and Randall Kolo Muani. Both have worked tirelessly, both have produced moments of quality, but the attack has lacked the balance and hold-up presence Solanke naturally provides. Frank has had to adapt, simplify, and sometimes compromise, knowing that the striker built for his football has been watching from the sidelines. But at last, there is movement, and for the first time, genuine optimism Frank confirmed that the international break would be the decisive phase of Solanke's recovery. 2 weeks of focused work, 2 weeks without competitive pressure, 2 weeks to push him over the line. Tottenham now believe Solanke could return for the North London derby on November 23rd. He may not start, but the possibility of having him on the bench in a fixture of this magnitude is a huge psychological and tactical lift. With 9 matches across the final stretch of November and December, Spurs need every ounce of depth they can gather. And Solanke isn't the only positive headline. In Dubai, a small but powerful update emerged. Dejan Kulusevski is finally back training on the grass. For Spurs supporters, this is more than just a video clip. It's a sign of hope. Kulusevski has been missed, not just for his creativity, but for the energy and structure he brings to Frank's attacking patterns. Spurs have been careful not to set a timeline for his full return, but the fact he has progressed beyond gym work is a major breakthrough after months of frustration. Still, the injury list remains stubbornly long. Dragusin, Gray, Davies, Maddison, and Kota Takai are all still out. Lucas Bergvall has only recently returned from concussion. Mohamed Kudus has missed Ghana duty after suffering a knock. And Randall Kolo Muani, who scored in the dramatic 2-2 draw with Manchester United, is now sidelined with a fractured jaw, though Spurs are relieved that surgery is not required. For a manager trying to reshape a club, this level of disruption would be difficult at any time, let alone in the opening months of a new era. Yet Frank's response has been calm, measured, and unwavering. Tottenham have not folded. They have not lost belief. They remain competitive in the European positions and within striking distance of the top 4, despite operating with a squad often missing 4, 5, or 6 starters. And now at last, the tide may be turning. Solanke is on the brink of returning. Kulusevski has stepped onto the grass again. Key players are moving closer, the squad is beginning to heal, and Frank may soon have the tools to finally show what his Tottenham truly looks like. The season has been turbulent, uneven, and demanding, but with November's biggest fixtures approaching, Spurs may finally be strengthening at exactly the moment they need it most. Breaking news and massive headlines in the world of football, and particularly for Tottenham Hotspur. From billionaire boardrooms to Premier League pitches, Spurs find themselves at the very centre of 2 of the biggest talking points this week. Joe Lewis, the man whose fortune helped shape modern Tottenham, has been officially pardoned by former US President Donald Trump, closing one of the most controversial chapters in the club's modern history. And on the other side of the football spectrum, Ivan Toney, once one of the Premier League's hottest striking prospects, faces a crossroads that could very well bring him back to England, and potentially back under a familiar face, Thomas Frank, who's now building his Spurs revolution. This, ladies and gentlemen, is your Spurs update from the boardroom to the training ground, told in full detail, right here. If you know Tottenham's modern history, you know the name Joe Lewis the Reclusive, East End-born billionaire who quietly bankrolled the club's rise into a European powerhouse, the man whose Tavistock Group held the keys to Hotspur Way, and beyond last year. Lewis, now 88, was hit with a storm. He faced insider trading and conspiracy charges in the United States, accused of sharing confidential information with pilots, friends, and even family. It was described by prosecutors as a brazen, multi-year scheme, one that earned his circle millions of pounds in illicit profits. Lewis ultimately pleaded guilty to reduced charges, 1 count of conspiracy and 2 counts of securities fraud, avoiding prison time, but paying a hefty £4 million fine and receiving 3 years probation. It was a scandal that cast a shadow over one of football's most powerful ownership figures. Many believed it marked the end of his influence. Indeed, he stepped down from day-to-day control, handing the reins of Tottenham Hotspur to the Lewis Family Trust in 2022, ensuring that his children Vivian and Charles Lewis would continue the family's business empire, including Spurs. But now, in a political twist straight out of a movie, Donald Trump has officially pardoned Joe Lewis. According to reports from the Financial Times, the White House described Lewis's actions as a terrible mistake that did not reflect a lifetime of success or philanthropy. A source close to the Lewis family said, "Joe and his family are extremely grateful for this pardon and would like to thank President Trump for taking this action." In a statement, Lewis himself added, "I am pleased all of this is now behind me, and I can enjoy retirement watching as my family and extended family continue to build our businesses based on quality and excellence. And make no mistake that family is already deeply involved at Tottenham." Following former chairman Daniel Levy's shock departure earlier this year, ending a 25-year reign, Tottenham's leadership looks very different. Joe's daughter Vivian Lewis and son Charles are now central figures in the club's direction. Vivian's son-in-law Nick Butcher has taken on additional duties, joining forces with non-executive chairman Peter Charrington and CEO Vinay Venkatesham, the former Arsenal chief who crossed North London earlier this year to take the reins at Spurs. And there's a new name on the board too, Eric Hinson, who joined as a non-executive director in October. Together, they represent the new face of Tottenham's hierarchy, global, business savvy, and determined to keep the club moving forward in the Premier League's financial elite. For Spurs fans, the big question is, what does this pardon mean for the club? Financially, not much changes overnight. Lewis had already distanced himself legally from Spurs operations, but symbolically this is huge. It restores the family's reputation, gives confidence to sponsors, and reinforces the idea that Tottenham's future remains stable at the top. And as much as fans care about balance sheets, the real focus, as always, is what's happening on the pitch. Thomas Frank's appointment raised eyebrows across English football. Replacing Ange Postecoglou was never going to be easy. The Australian had revived the club's attacking identity, but the Dane brought something different: discipline, control, and a hint of Brentford's underdog resilience. Now, a few months into his tenure, Frank has quietly built a balanced Tottenham side, one that combines tactical structure with attacking flair. Christian Romero remains a warrior at the back. Mickey van der Ven has returned from injury, with renewed pace and power. And in midfield, the trio of Yves Bissouma, Pape Matar Sarr, and James Maddison finally looks in sync. Frank's system is simple but effective. Aggressive pressing, compact defensive lines, and an emphasis on vertical transitions. It's football with purpose, and it's winning the fans back. But there's still one question that lingers. Who leads the line when the goals dry up?